Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Katie Asco from Dublin, Ireland, and these are your latest headlines from around the world. A couple in Ireland has filed a lawsuit in the High Court against a private clinic, alleging that their unborn child was aborted after they were mistakenly informed that the fetus had an abnormality. According to an Irish Times report, the case is to be heard from June 22nd in the capital city of Dublin. The couple has sought damages from Marian Fetal Health, a private clinic, and the National Maternity Hospital, with which it is affiliated. The report says the woman was told a DNA test had detected Edwards syndrome and that the pregnancy was not viable. The mother was also told not to wait for the results of a karyotype test, which examines genetic disorders. The abortion was performed on March 14, 2019. However, the woman claims the results of the karyotype test later revealed the child was healthy. The Organisation of Catholic Bishops of the EU, headed by Cardinal Jean-Claude Ulrich of Luxembourg, has expressed concerns that the EU proposals to combat hate crime could violate religious freedom. While condemning hateful speech and supporting measures to combat the issue, the bishops warned that establishing norms to fight so-called hate crime in all member states could potentially criminalise the expression of ideas as well as the actions of the Church. There are concerns that valid criticisms of abortion and same-sex marriage could be penalised for hate speech. The bishop said that terms such as hate speech, which have no globally recognised definition, could be used to enforce censorship. A global Catholic network of men and women religious is stepping up measures to combat human trafficking in West Africa, which has been aggravated by the coronavirus pandemic. Members of the association Talitha Kum from Ghana, Burkina Faso and Nigeria have established a 7-point strategy to strengthen networks and build new partnerships to fight human trafficking. During their recent conference, they reported that more young people are being forced into prostitution, forced labour, and erotic entertainment by human traffickers who have preyed on the vulnerable during lockdown. The religious also pledged to improve communications and connect with the conferences of major superiors in their respective nations to fight this scourge. By opening effective channels of communication and establishing strong networks, the priests and nuns hope to disrupt trafficking channels. There is good news in the US, where a Gallup poll has found that 52% of Americans oppose all or most abortions. Within this group, 19% want all abortions to be illegal, while 33% want most abortions to be prohibited. On the other hand, 45% of respondents support abortion, and 32% agree with President Joe Biden's position that all abortions should be legal up to birth. This poll data is no different to results of earlier surveys in which roughly half or just over half of respondents oppose all or most forms of abortion. Underscoring the Catholic ethos of Poland, the nation will be solemnly rededicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus today, on Friday, June 11th. The dedication prayer will be read out by Archbishop Stanislaw Gadecki during Holy Mass in the Basilica of the Sacred Heart of Krakow in the presence of his confreres, who are gathered for a 2-day plenary meeting of the episcopal body. The ceremony also marks the centenary of the dedication of the newly independent Polish state to the Sacred Heart. The solemn ceremony on June 11th will comprise a thanksgiving for the protection of Christ, spiritual atonement for sins committed, and a request to rekindle faith and love to remain faithful to the gospel, said Archbishop Gadecki. During an online conference on the Apostolic Exhortation Amoris Laetitia on Wednesday, June 9th, Pope Francis stressed the significance of the clergy and married couples in working together in the evangelizing mission. The Holy Father rejected the idea that evangelization is reserved for the pastoral elite and said that the family today is more than ever a sign of the times amid the difficulties caused by the pandemic. The Pontiff exhorted the Church to listen actively to families and to involve them in pastoral care. His Holiness used the example of a saintly couple from the Acts of the Apostles, Saints Aquila and Priscilla, who worked closely with St. Paul, and said married couples can become valid witnesses. The webinar, entitled "Where Do We Stand with Amoris Laetitia?" features delegates from 60 episcopal conferences and 30 global associations. A recent statement from the UN has said that 100,000 people have been displaced in Kaya State in Myanmar because of the ongoing fighting between government troops and ethnic militia. The brutal violence is threatening the lives of tens of thousands of people, including children in Kaya State, said UN human rights expert Thomas Andrew, appealing for urgent international intervention. He said if there is no prompt intervention, there could be mass deaths from starvation, disease, and exposure to violence. In Kaya State, where there are a sizable number of Catholics, people have been forced to take shelter in the forests, as well as escape to the neighbouring Shan State because of indiscriminate shelling by the military. Neighbouring Thailand has expressed concern over the conflict in Myanmar, fearing an exodus of refugees. The US capital of Washington, D.C. will host a global summit on religious freedom in July next month. The International Religious Freedom Summit will invite the world to consider that 7 billion people, comprising 83% of the global population, live in nations where there is religious oppression. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops is a sponsor of the event, which will be held from July 13th to 15th, with more than 40 organizations who work for religious freedom participating. Bishop David Malloy, who chairs the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee on International Justice and Peace, said the event will bring together a broad coalition that will work for the cause of religious freedom. One of the keynote speakers is Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Archbishop of New York and chairman of the conference's Committee for Religious Liberty. Those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow and visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.